channel is brought to you by nicotine.
Nice. Honest question. Do you have an Xbox? I already know the answer. This is just for the audience.
You gave me an Xbox.
I see. This is it's the Mother Teresa of gaming. Everybody, I gave him an Xbox because I know he needed it.
Is it plugged in?
When's the last time you turned it on? That's like a legit thing. It's not even an Xbox Series X. It's an Xbox One S. God, it's a 1S. So confusing.
It was. He gave me the worst of them all. But it's appreciated.
Thank you.
But look, I don't really use it. The reason it isn't plugged in is because I have a PC.
There we go.
Unfortunately.
So you can play your games on PC. The reason we're bringing this up, okay, is a recent data firm has brought out some numbers that are indicating that PlayStation is actually outselling Xbox 2-1, kind of like the previous generation. So let's talk about it. What does it mean for Xbox? What does it mean for all the fanboys? All this and more after the drop. Alright, so let's just get this out of the way. Alec is a Sony pony.
I'm not a Sony pony, but I do play Xbox.
You do play Xbox?
I am not a Sony pony, but I do play PlayStation.
Yes.
I like the PlayStation.
I actually think, look, naturally,
it works for me.
There is more games at the moment. Like, we can't escape that. You know, I think that this leads into our story. Fundamentally, Xbox does have an IP problem, and it just is showing, as we've gone on from even the last generation, that IP is kind of king, and this is why a lot of people are still playing their PlayStation 5s a lot more than they're playing their Xbox, because there's just more exclusive stuff on there. This brings us, of course, to the analytic firm that has been covering this.
So yeah, this report's interesting because the narrative for the whole console wars for the last 10 years, really, is that PlayStation's been outselling Xbox 2-1.
If not more.
Yeah, this report here is covering the period of Q1 2021.
And just to be clear, this is covering the 1st of Jan to the 31st of March 2021.
Yep, that's quarter one.
Just letting you guys know, okay?
Just in case you didn't know what quarters were.
There we go.
That's the period. It reports that the PlayStation 5 has reportedly sold 3.3 million units in the first quarter, with the Xbox selling 1.31.
I think the best question, because a lot of people have seen this and gone, well, it's because there's a shortage. There's parts that, these console makers simply can't get. You got to remember, both of them are having that same problem. Be very different, I think, and the figures would be skewed if Xbox was having a really severe problem with, obtaining certain materials to allow them to really compete the market. They're both having the exact same problem.
Interesting also, as a side note, the Switch has actually sold 5.86 million in that same quarter. So the Switch is super healthy at the moment. It's absolutely killing it. But yeah, I mean, look, the PlayStation, the Xbox, it's really a story or a tale of two approaches. Microsoft at their core are a software company. And I think they went through that 2000s period. They were trying to do all the different hardware. They were trying to do the Zune. They were really trying to be an Apple. They've learned their lesson. A lot of their products nowadays are all cloud-based. They are so platform or hardware agnostic nowadays in all facets of their business.
Apart from the Surface Pro, I would say the Surface Pro.
Sure.
That's something but that's more business sense and
yeah, but they're not trying to sell their hardware anymore to sell their software. They just want to put their software anywhere. That's Game Pass is the ultimate distillation of this approach, and that's why it's so smart. But yet, I'm really curious to see how effective it's going to be.
The figures are out also. It looks like, in 2020, actually, as early as May, it seemed like there was only about 10 million Game Pass subscribers. It's now jumped 130% since then, year on year. There was a report in April of 2021 saying that now that there's 23 million people on Game Pass, it is growing exponentially. I think that's a few things. Regardless of if you're on the previous Xbox or the new Xbox, you have the ability to play everything on Game Pass. On top of that, they're also quite a substantial library, which you found out the other day, on PC for Game Pass. So it makes sense that this is actually a growing product that more and more people are actually interacting with. And if we look at PlayStation's PlayStation Plus, they have 47.4 million people that are on there. But it's important to remember, that's more like to have access to online play and also get a few free games a month. That's a different product, that isn't necessarily what Game Pass is.
Yeah, so look, the growth in all these subscriber numbers shows that the software side, the subscription side of the business is very healthy. But ultimately, you've got Sony and Microsoft going at very different approaches. Microsoft are banking on Game Pass, and Sony are banking on traditional console hardware.
And exclusivity.
Well, yeah, sure. At the end of the day, the exclusive games will sell hardware. So, Sony are very much in a hardware race to sell their exclusive content. Microsoft are in a subscription service.
And streaming.
To sell their software service. We've kind of seen how Microsoft's prior approach of, they were marketing the Series X. Oh, what is it? The Xbox One X. It's so confusing.
Ridiculous.
They were marketing the Xbox One X as the world's most powerful console, blah, blah, blah. Didn't work for them.
TV, all this kind of nonsense.
Call of Duty, television.
They're
still living that. That was back in 2012,
and
man.
they still did it this time.
They're still living that down.
And this one here again with this last, they're doing it again with this console. Most powerful console ever.
Yeah.
All this kind of business. I mean, it doesn't sell units. Look at Switch. It's still sold out everywhere and outperforming both of these consoles.
My phone's more powerful than my Switch.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, look, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the next 5 to 7 years pans out through this cycle. We're just really getting warmed up. Do
you think this is going to be the same? Do you think this is going to be console generation 2.0 like it was last time?
I mean, I don't know. And I don't think anyone can know. I mean, if you go back, a console generation is 7 years. 7 years ago. What happened 7 years ago that was notable?
I know.
To contextualize.
I was 22. How old are you? Well, anyway, look, you're still in school, man.
He's in school, man.
He's in school.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
7 years. Sorry, 7 years is such a long time in a technology, in the techscape. 7 years ago, I'm pretty sure we were using 3G on our phones. Then it was 4G, and now we're at 5G.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just at that point where things are moving so quickly that no one can pretend to know what approach is going to be better. I really do think what Microsoft's doing with Game Pass is extraordinarily interesting. The problem is that it's not turning a profit.
At the moment, it's not.
Yeah, if they can work out how to turn it, and also Netflix isn't turning a profit really. All of these big companies that are doing these subscription-based services are finding difficulty in how to actually turn a profit. I don't know. Is Sony's approach, the traditional approach, better? It's too hard to tell.
I think there's a few things here. I think that given what metrics you look at in the next 7 years, you probably can say that Sony won this console war. If you're purely looking at the consoles, how many they sold. I think if you look at how many Game Pass subscribers, join the ranks in the next 7 years, if this data is to go off at all, I think we're going to see a huge amount of footprint in the gaming industry that's going to be taken up by subscription services, and especially from Game Pass. We're also going to see Project xCloud come out of beta and become, I think, a huge part of what Xbox tries to offer.
It's very cool.
PlayStation Now is, of course, not. It's pretty region-based. There's 2.2 million people that use PlayStation Now. Again, it's region-based. I can't use it in Australia. I'm sure there's many parts of the world that you can't use that. It doesn't seem to be PlayStation's initiative or focus at the moment to really work on the cloud side.
There's no marketing there.
There's no marketing, right? So I think that if you look at in the next 7 years, do I think that PlayStation's going to win the console war? Yes, I do. Do I think that they're going to win the subscription base, the actual gaming footprint, the pro consumer? Everywhere you look, there's a way that you can play Xbox games. I think that's going to be where Xbox really shines, because they're just so ahead of the pack in terms of what they're doing, subscription-based and cloud-based.
Yeah, look, I think my final kind of takeaway from these kinds of numbers and these kinds of discussions is that the PlayStation brand the PlayStation brand is extremely healthy at the moment. They're full steam ahead. Nothing can really stop them at this point. They've got plenty of games on the horizon. The hardware is selling. The general sentiment among just the internet,
the gamers,
the gamers, dude, is that they're super excited and there's a really bright future ahead. For Xbox, I think we have the same reasons to be as excited as that, but for very different reasons. The service that Xbox offers with Game Pass is incredible value.
The best value in gaming, I think.
It just is.
$15 a month US or whatever, or Australian, I think it's $15 a month.
Yeah.
I'm able to play 150 games, most of EA's catalog, most of Ubisoft's good stuff, all of Bethesda now. Man, there is so much stuff there. And I agree with you. I think, PlayStation's value is going to be exclusivity, and I think that, Xbox's value is definitely service driven.
But what my point was going to be is that, Xbox have acquired so many of these studios. They've got the infrastructure, they've got the subscription. They've already got people subscribing. They've got paying customers. Once they get their own titles on that service that they don't have to pay publishers and all these third parties for. When Microsoft can just load Game Pass with their own shit and take all of the winnings, we might then see an Xbox brand that is in a much better picture of health. I really hope that does come to pass, because I would love nothing more than to see the Microsoft of the 360 era going head to head with the current PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be nothing but beneficial to the market, to the buyers, to the consumers, to the people who love games. That competition would create just beautiful things.
It's just beautiful.
That's my really empowering. My final word.
That's your final thought.
That's my final
I think
thought.
that we'll leave it there. Last thing I will say before we do finish, I do think that we are going to see by 2030, it's not going to be a console war. It's going to be an IP and a streaming and a subscription-based war. Xbox is kind of, again, ahead of the pack. PlayStation's lagging. So in the next 5 to 7 years, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. We'll keep you up to date, but I mean, I'm not surprised by these numbers. Are you really surprised? I'm not surprised by these numbers. That PlayStation, of course, outselling Xbox 2-1. It also shows that Xbox had half the stock, really, because that kind of shows that they had half the stock, because they're both struggling to actually get it into stores.
They could just be doing the Apple drip feed.
True.
Where you walk up to the Apple store, there's like 7 people in line. They've got 300 iPhones in the back room. They're like, we're sorry, we only got 4 today. 3 of you have to
come back in 4 years. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much. We will see you guys next time. Laymen out. Also, check out the merch.
It's pretty cool.
Nice. It's real nice.
There's more on the way as well.
Oh, there is. Very exciting merch. We'll let you guys know. Laymen out.